All right, so first we're gonna start with 1.5 cups of warm water. Then I'm gonna add in 2 tablespoons of active dry yeast. Then we're gonna add 3 tablespoons of sugar. Next, we're gonna add 3 tablespoons of oil. I chose olive oil. Then we're gonna add 2 teaspoons of salt. Okay, we're gonna give it a good mix. Okay, that's already starting to bubble up. So now we're adding 4 cups of bread flour. And that is it. That's the ingredients for your homemade bread. Give it a good stir. Now this is not a no-knead bread. You definitely need to get your hands in there to make sure that it's all incorporated so that we don't have any like yucky chunks or anything. So this is pretty well mixed. You can use your bread mixer too. It actually comes out pretty good with that too, but here we go. Here's our dough. And we're just gonna give it a good knead. When you knead, you don't use your fingertips, you just use the palms of your hands. So you're gonna press, press, press. If your hands feel a little sticky, you could just add some flour. If your surface feels a little sticky, you could add flour to there too. And we're just gonna knead until it forms a nice, soft dough. Okay, I've been kneading for about 5 minutes now. And it's starting to get less sticky and form like more of a soft dough. You could see it's coming together nicely. So I'm going to take my loaf pan. I have a silicone one. I prefer my Pullman, but for this one, I want to have a nice overflow on the top. The Pullman pan, if you haven't seen it, it's like, gives you like these beautiful square loaves or rectangular loaves. But for this, I'm going to use this. So I'm going to give it a little spray, make sure nothing sticks. And then we're going to pat the dough down. Roll it into like a nice log and plop it in. Now you can let it rise in the bowl and then put it in the loaf pan, but let's just skip that step. I'm gonna put it right in here, push it down nice. And 1 hour, it'll be ready to bake. All right, this bread is probably too big for this pan. It's like exploding out, but it'll still make an awesome bread. So let's get this thing cooked up. And we have our loaf here cooling for about an hour. Like I showed you in the oven, I really could have made 2 loaves with this recipe, but this is what we got for now. So let me cut into it. Let's see how it's gonna look. Beautiful, look at that, so soft, look at this, gorgeous. So this is the top nobody likes, right? Except for my dog, I'm sure he's surprised he's not right here. So this is gonna be the loaf, kind of looks like what you get at the store, actually, right? And this will make perfect Uncrustables because it's nice and big. When I use my Pullman loaf, you just get the square, so it's a little bit of a smaller Uncrustable, so this will actually work perfect. So here we go. With the Uncrustable, you don't want too thick of a crust. So, here we go, slice number 1. And it's such an easy recipe, you know the ingredients, no junk, no fillers. And you can actually freeze these, I put them in these little Ziplocs, and I freeze them just like the Uncrustables. Look at that, beautiful, amazing. Just like the Uncrustables, and at least I know that there's not 50 million ingredients in my daughter's sandwiches, and everything that I made her is fresh. And I make these ahead of time for the whole week. So all I have to do, just like the Uncrustables, is rip them out of the fridge. And that's it. I have nice, healthy, homemade sandwiches for her. Obviously, you can put any toppings that you would like. But today we're making Uncrustables. It's so funny looking. But that'll all get caught up anyway, so. Let's see, I'm gonna make it 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, no, kind of got cut off. I'm no expert at cutting the bread, but we do our best, right? In the end, it all works out. Okay. All right, I don't know what I got here. I'll use this one just to show you. Nice, soft sandwich bread. Is that great or what? I just got this new Ninja D-Tech Duo blender. I've been making peanut butter for a long time for my daughter's sandwiches, and I've blown out every single food processor, everything I've had. So I heard this one was good for peanut butter. They say 1 ingredient. We'll see. We'll give it a shot. Normally, I'll add the contents of this. I get it from Sam's Club. It's just salted peanuts with sea salt. So I add this whole thing. I usually will put ghee to make it like a nice creamy consistency, because if the kids have detect like one little peanut, they're not happy. And then I'll sweeten it up with some honey. So let's try to see if we can do it just with peanuts. I don't think so, but we'll give it a shot. Hope I don't blow out this one too. But you know, the stuff in the stores has just the worst ingredients. Palm oils and, oh, let's see if I know how to do this. Okay. So this one has a release button, which is kind of cool. So that, like, I guess things don't splatter. Okay, I'll turn it on. I would face it towards you, but I've never used this before. So I don't know how to use it just yet. It's on Blend Sense. So let's see. Start. Okay, let's see. You don't want to add ghee or anything in it right now, because you just want to have you just want to have the peanuts be able to blend before you start adding any kind of oils or anything like that. I'm gonna blow this one out too. All right, you can do it. You're probably gonna have to get in there. Do this thing, I guess, right? Okay, I just started moving the bottom. The other ones were just break. Alright, there's some movement down here. That's a good sign. Now this one has blades up the side. So look, it's doing something, look. Good press so far. Working. Look at this one. You read the nose. I was counting down the time. So it's at, I guess it's counting down to 25 seconds. Okay, maybe if I didn't use anything, just like, you know, but I doubt it. This is real time, so you can see with me. Uh-oh, what happened? Did I break it? What are you doing, guy? I don't know what he's doing. It's thinking. That's what you get with a smart blender, I guess. Maybe I'll start it again and see what happens. So far, it's like just look at the box. Looks really pretty. Pretty cool. Still gonna clean it up on though, but I may not need to be if it's gonna be nice enough. So it showed that it stopped. Let's see the consistency. And since I don't have my camera girl here today, I'll have to. Oh, that looks great. Wow, that looks awesome. That is like a nice. And you saw, what did I do? I threw it in the Ninja D-Tech Duo and it did its job with nothing. Look at that. Look at that. That's awesome. It's like literally creamy peanut butter. Let me taste it. Look at that. Creamy, smooth peanut butter. Yeah. It's sticky. Alright. So now I can't even talk. It's so sticky. Alright, I'm going to add the honey. I have 2 tablespoons of honey. I wonder if I add the ghee, it's gonna be too liquidy. So we'll just go with this. Okay. And I don't need salt, otherwise I would put a little bit because the peanuts have salt in it. And you shouldn't eat peanut butter on camera, right? All right. See? I really just want to. All right. Let's see. It's like nice and all the smoke is coming up. Nice and warm too. I got so excited about the stupidest thing, I swear. It's still really sticky, but I guess that's how peanut butter is, right? It doesn't have palm oil or a bunch of seed oils and all that stuff, so we'll take a little stickiness. You could probably even add a little extra honey if you want. Just sweeten it up, depending on your taste, but just like this is perfect. All right, now you can watch me make a mess on camera. Okay. I am super excited. I'm getting there. All right, let's give it a try. It's delicious. Sticky, but delicious. I'll be back. All right, so now I'm going to make some strawberry jelly. And unfortunately, I only have frozen sliced strawberries. You could use fresh. I'm just out today. So here I have half a cup of frozen strawberries. And this is gonna just be a small batch, enough to make a few sandwiches, which is all that we need. And then I have a half a cup of sugar. I prefer to use honey, but this is what I have for today. It is organic cane sugar. So we're gonna pour some of that in there. And then I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of lemon. And yes, I prefer the bottle. Don't come at me. There we go. Okay, and we're gonna just cook that down and wait for it to coagulate. We'll be back. I have these now to like a rolling boil, and they're cooking down pretty nice. They're starting to form like a nice syrup. So we're gonna keep cooking these. But what I wanna go ahead and do, now you can leave it like this whole. Some people, including myself, like a little like chunks of the berries. My kids don't. Just like their peanut butter, they like no chunks. So I'm gonna use my immersion blender and just blend it up. And this will probably just give you some nice chunks still, but. This would be amazing with like farm fresh strawberries. I'm gonna try that actually. We have this great farm stand near the house. And I think I'm gonna give that a shot. But we had frozen, so that's what we got, right? It's a rainy day, perfect for making jam. Ooh, look at that. It's really boiling now. Yeah, all right, it's gotta cook down some more until it gets into like a nice, you know, it's gonna start to look like a nice jelly jam. You see it? So we're gonna cook that down for another, I would say 5 minutes. It might be perfect. So we'll come back. All right, I'm back. It has been 5 minutes and it's starting to look awesome. Like, look at that. What I did, I just lowered the heat, And I'm gonna just let it slow simmer because it's getting pretty thick, but I want it a little bit thicker for the sandwiches. So I'm just gonna continue to stir it and watch it while we go. This way we don't burn it. This looks amazing. All right, I'm gonna slow simmer this for another 5 minutes. We'll be back. All right, so this is still cooking down, but it's on my gabon. And I can't wait. My Italian friends will know what that means. I gotta try this fresh bread with some nice butter. It's just, I mean, look at that. It doesn't get much better than this. Unless, of course, I made fresh butter, which I could. All right, let's try it. It's so good. All right, so I'm gonna call this done. It's nice and thick and goopy. I'm gonna shut the heat off. And I can't find my canning lid, of course. So I'm gonna make probably a huge mess and just dump this into the little mason jar that I have. Let me plug this. Okay. Move this over. So I'm gonna cool this before I make my sandwich. It's gonna be such a mess. Let's see. There we go. If I can find my canning lid. Okay, but you see that? Beautiful. So this is gonna sit in the fridge for about an hour before I make the sandwiches. I'll be back. All right, we're back. So the jam has been chilling in the fridge for the last hour. Let's check it out. Beautiful, look at that. I mean, what was that? Strawberries, sugar, and lemon juice. Oh. Delicious. I love it. I like easy, but I like, you know, as healthy homemade as possible. And then we have our peanut butter that we made earlier. Ready to go. All right, let's make our Uncrustables. Does anybody else use the spoons to spread? Probably just me. All right, so here's our homemade bread that we made earlier. Flip them over. This one's a little shungat over here, but it'll work, right? All right. See, I like to use a spoon because then you, well, you can't see from there. I like to use a spoon because you put it on and then spread it up. There we go. I got my peanut butter on. Of course, I had to sample some. And we're just gonna put a dollop of jelly on each one. There we go. Use the back of my spoon. Smooth it all out. Now for cutting the Uncrustables, still sticking in my mouth home. So I bought this at Hobby Lobby, like a cutter. But before I had this, I was using just like the back of like a mug or something. So you could use whatever you got. Actually, I was using these because it's like a perfect size. All right, flip. Flip, and then this is a week's worth of lunch for my daughter, and I will throw them in the freezer. And they also act as an ice pack in her lunchbox. And then it's almost summer vacation, so we can take these to the pool and just chuck them in our cooler, bring them to the beach. All right. There we go. Now I said this bread is extra big because we made really 2 loaves in one, so you wouldn't really have this much overage, but. Moms get the crust, right? All right. Here we go. Here we go. We have our Uncrustables.